Thank you for watching. I'm Giovanni Haqani. The Russian situation, right? We're looking at, um, wanted to talk about how Russia, specifically Vladimir Putin, um, meddled in our elections the last two cycles there. Um, and I don't believe that he's going to stop. Personally, I don't feel that he's ever going to stop. He was emboldened the first time, so 2016. Um, See, 2016, he got away with it because um, I guess the establishment said, well, he didn't like Hillary Clinton. She was kind of nasty to him and was looking to get him overthrown during that whole Arab Spring uh, situation there. She kind of diverted that energy as Secretary of State um, to Russia and said the Russian people, the Russian nation has a right to self-determination. They have the right to their own future, yada yada yada. And she went on and on. And I think this is why um, Putin had become kind of a arch nemesis there. So, he decided to block her from winning the presidency, and naturally, Donald Trump was there, and I guess he was telegraphing the fact that he really wanted to be in the White House, um, and for whatever reason, um, he decided to help uh, Donald Trump win the presidency. Um, and most of our intelligence apparatus actually, you know, came out and said in their briefings that Russia had involved themselves to a great deal, and they don't know if he had anything to do with um, messing with our voting systems, but I have I suspect that he may have. Um, he, because he was very desperate in that situation in order to block Hillary Clinton. And when you look at the 2020 cycle, uh, him running against Biden, Donald Trump running against Biden, um, at that point, the U.S. Intelligence apparatus um, had given him a clear notice that if he were to meddle in our affairs, um, they would shut down his electrical grid. Um, and don't quote me on it, could have been the DoD or one of our, or several our intelligence apparatuses there, whether they're military intelligence or central intelligence, but someone gave him a warning um, stating that if he were to meddle in our affairs, especially in this election cycle, the consequences would be pretty severe for him. Well, he didn't back down. Um, he still managed to um, meddle in our election cycle, and there's clear evidence that he tried through various means. He didn't succeed, but he tried. So my point is this: um, Vladimir Putin has, in my opinion, become a possible national security threat. I know most people say, well, that's kind of, you know, overstating it. I don't think I'm overstating this. I strongly feel that uh, Putin is a national security threat. And I'm sure the establishment, whether it's the military establishment or our financial or political establishment, they're all looking at this and saying, what next? So here's what my assessment is. And I usually look at a lot of um, foreign policy situations in a very nonpartisan way. Because you can't have politics in foreign policy. I think everyone understands that. Those of us who understand foreign policy understand that you can't have any kind of a political uh, thinking there. Um, this is strictly putting politics aside. Vladimir Putin is and will become even more of a threat as time progresses to our national security. And I'm very positive that he will not only try again to in meddling in our elections, he will continue doing it. Here's my point. In order to neutralize anything that he's doing, we're going to have to keep an eye on the candidates here who are somewhat like after Donald Trump. We know he was very friendly to Vladimir Putin. So after the former president uh, left and his post presidency, these other individuals that are kind of telegraphing their intentions to Vladimir Putin that they're about to make a run uh, for higher up for the presidency in 24, and that they're aligned with Donald Trump, and that he should support them. That's the way I see it. When you look at the minority leader McCarthy, uh, ran down to Mar-a-Lago in Florida and was shaking hands and take those pictures that were taken. Uh, yes, I know they were taken for the American public, but they were also taken for a different audience. And I think you know which audience I'm talking about. I'm talking about Vladimir Putin. That I'm friendly to this individual, and if he's unable to make it, I will take the mantle and I'll move forward with whatever your agenda is having to do with this nation. So it's clear as a bell to me that uh, Russia has to be contained. Sanctions are not going to do very much damage. We already know that from the past. They're more symbolic than anything else. They tend to work to a degree, but um, when you really study what sanctions do, they're pretty ineffective. They don't really work. So, what I would say to those in uh, the establishment, whether you're in the military establishment or financial or political, um, you absolutely cannot take your eye off of Vladimir Putin. He is someone that's seriously intent on hurting our democracy and making sure that we are no longer a superpower that could keep him in check because his ambitions are pretty nostalgic. He would like to see the old Soviet Union empire come back to life again. And I know most people when I state this type of an opinion, most people say, well, what are the odds of him trying to get all these other states that were in former Soviet Union back together? Well, he's working on them. You saw he took over Crimea, and uh, we really couldn't do very much there. Our policies were kind of ineffective as far as countering him out of Crimea. So, that said, we're looking at a possibility of a lot more aggressive Vladimir Putin. He's not going to go away anytime soon. He's still a young, you know, he's not old. He's still pretty young. And as he looks at our situation, our political climate here, and the divisiveness that he was able to uh, fester between our political parties, and so the divisions that he did, and he did a lot. He did a lot of damage to us as a nation as far as our politics are concerned. So he has to be taken seriously, and I know those who were calling for Russia as not just a frenemy, friendly enemy. They were calling for, I recall a few years back, few people actually stating, watching the um, cable channels on MSNBC and other channels there, CNN, they were calling for, um, you know, a little more uh, stricter dealings with the Russian government. Um, and there was some, of course, were saying no, Russia is, you know, is a frenemy, and it's a friendly enemy, and I don't think they're that kind of a threat to us. But we saw what happened in 2016, 2020, and it's going to keep getting worse from this point, because he was emboldened by the fact that he was able to have his um, agents within an American campaign, Donald Trump's campaign. He had an active agent in there, his one of his FSB agents that was actively working and reporting back to him. So this was a wake-up call to those of us who watch it closely. So when um, you know, and I really would have liked to sit down with Dr. Brzezinski. Uh, um, I know he has passed away, but I would love to sit down with him and ask him what he would do in this current situation, because he had a very unique opinion about Russia, because he was involved in the early um, Afghan war, the Mujahideen war against the Soviet Union. He was very involved, and he knew everything about the Soviet culture or the Russian culture. So, but anyways, he has passed on. I know there's a lot of other individuals there that, um, you know, would agree with what I'm saying. Um, Another expert there was in the former um, President George W. Bush's campaign, not campaign, his administration, Condoleezza Rice. She's a Russian expert, and I think she would probably agree with me that he's been emboldened and is going to continue to cause more and more damage to us in the years to come. And not someone who's uh, needing to be watched closely by us, but we're going to need to actually, um, turn up the heat, so to speak, in some ways. And sanctions are great, but there's, I think, other ways where we could deal with the Russian government, specifically uh, Vladimir Putin, who is um, kind of scared right now because of Biden coming in, and he's worried, and I'm sure he's worried for the right reasons. So um, we'll speak on this subject a little more next time in the next video, and try to bring up some other points and what I feel like we need to do as far as the Russian situation is concerned. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.